Every single Costco hot dog and soda combo costs $1.50. It has cost $1.50 since 1985. Not roughly $1.50, exactly $1.50 for 40 years through recessions, through inflation that doubled the price of nearly everything else on earth. And here's the part that should bother you. Costco loses money on every single one they sell. Not breaks even, loses money on purpose. And they fought internally to keep losing money on it for 4 decades. So the question isn't, why is the hot dog so cheap? The question is, why would a company protect a guaranteed loss like it's the most important product they sell? This isn't a rumor or an internet myth. It's documented, on the record, by the 2 men who ran the company. Costco's co-founder, Jim Sinegal, has told this exact story publicly for years. In the early 2000s, when a Costco executive floated the idea of raising the hot dog price, Sinegal reportedly told him, "If you raise the price of the effing hot dog, I will kill you." That's not corporate spin. That's the founder threatening an executive over a $2 food item. When the man who built a $60 billion retail company reacts that strongly to a hot dog, that's your first sign this isn't really about hot dogs at all. Now, the easy answer here is loss leader. Sell something cheap to get people in the door, then make money elsewhere. And sure, that's part of it. But that explanation alone doesn't hold up because Costco isn't a regular store you can just walk into. You already have to be a paying member to buy anything there at all. The hot dog isn't luring in a new customer who might buy other stuff on this visit. It's being sold to someone who's already inside, who's already paid to be inside. So, loss leader explains why a grocery store puts milk in the back. It does not explain why Costco is still protecting a money-losing hot dog for people who are already locked in as customers. There's a second mechanism running underneath this one, and it's the actual reason the hot dog matters. To see it, you have to understand something most people get backwards about Costco. The products on the shelves are almost a side business. Costco runs on razor-thin retail margins, often capped internally at around 14% above cost, compared to a typical retailer's 30 to 50% markup. At that margin, product sales alone barely fund the company. The real engine is membership fees. Roughly $700 million a quarter, well over $2.5 billion a year, comes in from people simply paying to be allowed to shop there before they've bought a single item. And that number is almost pure profit because there's no cost of goods attached to it. Costco isn't really a retailer that also charges membership. It's a membership company that happens to sell groceries as the delivery mechanism. Which means the hot dog's real job isn't to get you into the building. Its job is to get you to renew. Think about what a $1.50 hot dog and soda actually does to a customer's brain every single visit for years. It's proof, a small, physical, repeated piece of evidence, that Costco is still the place that protects your money even when nobody's watching. You didn't read a press release about their pricing philosophy. You held the receipt. That's a completely different kind of trust than a company can buy with advertising. And trust is the entire product being sold by an $80 to $120 annual membership fee, renewed year after year on autopilot. Here's where it gets more interesting, though, because there's a specific moment in Costco's history where this whole theory got tested for real. In 2009, Costco's food court supplier at the time wanted to raise prices. Beef prices were climbing, and inflation was squeezing everyone. Executives internally debated whether the hot dog combo finally had to go up, even by 50 cents. And this is the part almost nobody talks about. Instead of raising the price, Costco did something that sounds financially insane. They bought their own hot dog factory. In 2009, Costco opened its own meat processing plant specifically to produce the hot dogs in-house, cutting out the supplier's markup entirely just to keep absorbing the loss without ever touching the price tag. Think about the scale of that decision. They didn't find a cheaper vendor. They didn't shrink the hot dog. They built and now operate their own factory, reportedly capable of producing well over 100 million hot dogs a year, purely to protect a number that was never designed to make them money in the first place. That's not a marketing gimmick anymore. That's a company treating a $2 item like critical infrastructure. Which raises the real question this video is actually about. What is a promise like that worth in dollars to a company the size of Costco? Because there is an actual number behind it, and it's bigger than almost anyone guesses. Here's the mechanism, named plainly. Costco is running what's sometimes called a psychological price anchor. One single, highly visible, unchanging price becomes the proof point for every other price in the store. You don't audit Costco's markup on every one of the roughly 4,000 products they stock. You can't. Nobody has time for that. Instead, your brain uses the hot dog as a stand-in for the whole company's honesty. If the price that's easiest for you to check, one you've watched stay identical since before a lot of viewers of this video were even born, has never crept up even a nickel, then your brain quietly assumes the prices you can't check are being treated the same way. $1.50 is functioning as a permanent renewable trust signal for a membership renewal decision worth roughly $120 a year, multiplied across more than 76 million paying members worldwide. So here's the reframe. That hot dog was never a food product. It was never really even a marketing product. It's an insurance policy against the single biggest threat to a membership fee business model. The moment a customer starts to wonder whether they're actually still getting a deal, the instant a Costco member starts doing that math and landing on maybe not, the renewal stops being automatic. It becomes a decision. And decisions are exactly what a subscription-style business cannot afford its customers to start making en masse every single year. And once you see it this way, you start noticing that Costco is doing this same move in more places than just the food court, just less dramatically. The rotisserie chicken has stayed near $5 for over 15 years, again reportedly at a loss, for exactly the same psychological reason. It's not that Costco loves rotisserie chicken. It's that every predictable, unchanging price is another data point proving the same thing to you. This company still isn't squeezing you, even when it easily could. So let's put an actual number on the insurance policy. Analysts have estimated Costco loses somewhere in the range of $30 to $40 million a year, specifically on the hot dog and soda combo alone, once you account for the beef, the buns, the labor, and the cost of running that dedicated factory. Now compare that to what a single 1-point renewal rate improvement is worth to Costco. Membership renewal rates in North America sit above 90%, among the highest customer retention rates of any major retailer on earth. And every renewed membership at roughly $60 a year in the US is close to pure profit. Do that math across tens of millions of members, and a $30 to $40 million loss on hot dogs stops looking like a loss. It starts looking like the cheapest retention marketing budget of any company its size anywhere in the world. Now, if you think that's a strange way to run a business, deliberately losing tens of millions of dollars a year on purpose forever, wait until you see what this same instinct does to Costco's actual product selection. Because the hot dog isn't a one-off trick. It's a small, visible example of a much bigger, much stranger rule that governs almost everything on Costco's shelves. And that rule explains something else you've probably noticed but never had a reason for. Why Costco only sells a few hundred different products when a Walmart or Target carries tens of thousands. Most retailers compete on selection. More brands, more sizes, more choice. Because choice keeps you browsing and buying. Costco does close to the opposite. It typically carries somewhere around 4,000 products at any one time, compared to well over 100,000 at a typical big box competitor. That's deliberate curation, not a limitation. Costco picks 1 or 2 suppliers per product category, negotiates enormous volume discounts because it's buying so much of one thing instead of a little of everything, and passes a chunk of that saved margin straight to the customer at that same capped roughly 14% markup. Fewer products, bought at massive scale, sold at thin margins, is the entire retail engine. The hot dog is just the loudest, most quotable version of a philosophy running through the whole warehouse. And that's why threatening to fire someone over 50 cents on a hot dog wasn't Jim Sinegal being sentimental. It was him protecting the one product every single member could personally verify at a glance every time they walked in. The physical proof that the entire underlying philosophy of the company was still true. Lose that proof point, and you don't just lose margin on hot dogs. You put a crack in the story that convinces 76 million people to keep paying a membership fee year after year without asking too many questions about anything else on the shelf. Here's why this matters beyond Costco specifically. Almost every subscription business you personally pay for is running some version of this same play, whether you've noticed it or not. A streaming service keeping one plan tier suspiciously cheap while raising the others. A gym that never raises your specific founding member rate even as new members pay more. A software company that grandfathers your old pricing forever. These aren't acts of generosity. They're the exact same insurance policy Costco is running with hot dogs. A fixed, visible promise designed to stop you from ever doing the math on whether you're still getting a good deal. Because the day you do that math is the day you might cancel. Costco has actually done this on a much bigger scale than the food court. Membership prices themselves stayed completely frozen from 2017 all the way until 2024. 7 full years without an increase, one of the longest pricing freezes of any major U.S. retailer during a period when inflation rose by roughly 25% across the broader economy. When Costco finally did raise membership fees in 2024, they raised them by $5, the smallest possible increase they could credibly make, and framed it explicitly around the fact that they'd held the line for 7 years first. That timing isn't a coincidence. It's the same trust account being spent carefully, once, only after it had been visibly, provably full for the better part of a decade. And this is where the story gets genuinely counterintuitive, because it means Costco's generosity is actually one of its most aggressive profit strategies, not a departure from one. The company isn't losing money on hot dogs despite being a ruthless, margin-obsessed retailer. It's losing money on hot dogs because it's a ruthless, margin-obsessed retailer that has correctly identified renewal psychology as more valuable than food court profit ever could be. $30 to $40 million a year is a rounding error against a membership fee engine generating well over $4.5 billion annually. The loss was never a loss. It was the cheapest, most effective line item in the entire company's marketing budget, and it didn't require a single advertisement. So here's the full mechanism all the way through. Costco built a membership business disguised as a grocery store. Membership fees, not products, generate most of its real profit. That business model lives or dies on one number: whether members believe they're still getting a deal enough to renew without thinking twice. A hot dog you can price check with your own eyes every visit for 40 straight years is worth more to that belief than almost anything a marketing team could ever produce. So Costco didn't just keep the price low, they bought a factory to defend it. That's not a quirky company culture story. That's one of the most efficient customer retention systems in modern retail, and it costs about $1.50 to experience firsthand. Which leaves one open question worth sitting with. What happens the day Costco actually has to raise that price? Beef costs keep climbing, labor costs keep climbing, and at some point the arithmetic on "we'll just absorb it forever" gets harder to defend even for a company this size. When that day comes, it won't just be a menu change. Based on everything you've just seen, it'll be one of the clearest signals available that something in Costco's entire trust-based business model has genuinely shifted, and it'll be worth watching exactly how they announce it, if they announce it at all. This is the kind of thing this channel is built around, not the surface-level fact everyone already half knows, but the actual financial mechanism sitting underneath it, the one the company itself is quietly protecting. Every business you interact with is running systems like this. Most of them are just less willing to threaten to fire someone over it. If this is the kind of thing you want to keep seeing, the real reasons behind the prices, the fees, and the deals you deal with every day, subscribe, because next up is one you've almost certainly experienced and never fully understood: why airlines deliberately, knowingly, sell more seats than the plane actually has. It's not a mistake. It's not overselling gone wrong. It's a calculated bet airlines make on every single flight, and the math behind it is even stranger than the hot dog. Next time you're holding a Costco hot dog, you're not holding a $2 snack. You're holding the receipt for one of the most effective trust strategies in modern retail. And it's worked on you for exactly the reason it was built to.